We are live. So this is another one of my favorite meditation talks. Last week we did the talk about goals, and I love that every year. This week we're going to do question and answer, but also I'm going to really encourage you. You don't have to, but if you've got a goal that you would like to kind of workshop and get to the point where it's really broken down and actionable, then you can use that. You can say, I have a goal I want to go over, or you can ask me a question. Question does not have to be about goals, or it doesn't have to do anything with New Year's resolutions. It can be anything about meditation or something even tangentially related. You can ask me about forgiveness. You can ask me about, don't ask me about my haircut, but I'm happy to answer any other questions. So the standard disclaimer is this is not the only answer for any question that I'm going to get. It's my best answer that I have for you tonight. Nowhere are these answers written in stone. They're probably not even written down in a book anywhere because I haven't written a book yet. That should be one of my goals this year. But your questions, try to state them concisely and clearly without a lot of confusing words so that we can all understand your questions. If you're at home on Zoom and you want to raise your Zoom hand, you can. And if you are watching live on social media, you can also type it, and I think it will show up for me and I can answer it then. If you're here in the dojo with me, you can raise your fleshy hand and I'll call on you. So, questions or goals? Don't all raise your hands at once. Yes, Kaya, you broke the rules. You raised your fleshy hand on Zoom, but I'll take it.
I was trying to find the Zoom button.
That's fine.
I couldn't find it. Oh, there it is. Okay. My question is about like time and goals, because I have like so many different like kind of things that I do, and that my question is, how do you have time for everything or kind of streamline it? I know when we meditate, time goes slower, and I seem to have the opposite issue.
Where time seems to go fast.
Yeah.
Too much to get done in the day. Yeah, this is a great question. Is there any other specific you want to get into this? Well, you want me to just go with what you've given me so far?
I guess it's someone has to do with also coming to class in the dojo, because time goes so quickly that I turn around and a week or two have gone by. So it has to do with that. It's just having time for everything and prioritizing.
Yeah, I've got it. Okay. So first of all, let's point out that time, our perception of time is subjective, and the same exact day, even the same martial arts class, can seem very different to different people. Let's say, for example, you're doing a sparring class and you love sparring. There's no amount of time that is too much for sparring. It's going to go by like that. Or you're doing a sparring class and you do not like sparring. Any amount of time is too long. It seems like it drags on forever. And this is like the saying that, you know, time flies when you're having fun, and it's certainly true. And part of that is just because, like, you have this almost wish, this feeling that it can just keep going. And you might get into the same feeling if you're watching a really great movie, and you might have the same feeling in the other direction if you're watching a really terrible movie and you're like, how long is this thing? Can I just fast forward it? So our experience of time and of life in general is very much tied up in our attitude and the way that we are kind of experiencing it, especially in an emotional way. So if your day seems to be going very fast, one of the reasons that might be happening is because you're having so much fun. You might be having an opposite, a flip side experience where you're not actually having a lot of fun. Your experience is like, I am running around like a chicken with my head cut off, and I have so much stuff to get done, and I can't possibly fit it all in. So a lot of people have a negative experience in that way, where it feels like there's so much going on, and you might not even have that much that needs to get done, but you've got this like anxiety and stress about it. I'll say that I've had days where I have a decent amount of stuff to get done. And some days it just seems like I fly right through it with a lot of ease. And some days it feels like it's super stressful and I feel like I can't possibly get done what needs to get done. So on those days, I try to remind myself to just treat it more like practice, to be in the present. And let's say you have a day where you do have a ton going on, and it's very hard to feel like you have any amount of ease with this. And it does feel like you're just rushing from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. Let's say that you've got a 10-minute gap. Let's pretend that that's the only free 10 minutes you have in this entire day. You can either spend it freaking out about the next thing that you have to get done or about the next 10 or 20 things that you have to get done. And that is most often what people do. If you have a lot to get done, that's where your mind goes. It's like, I'm stressed about all the other stuff that I got to get done. Or the other option is just to be in the present and take a deep breath and create a little clearing for you to enjoy. And 5 or 10 minutes doesn't seem like a lot, but it can seem like so much time. It can seem like plenty of time. And this is one of the things that we learn to do with our meditation, is almost to time travel or to stretch time. If you dive into the present moment, that 10 minutes can seem like an eternity in a good way. And on days like you're describing, where there's so much going on, it can be very tempting to have your mind just racing and be stressed. And you will probably on those days make excuses for yourself and say like, I know I'm supposed to relax and be in the present, but I'm in the groove right now. I'm just going, and I can't possibly relax. Quit kidding yourself. You've got 5 or 10 minutes. You do. And it could even be in the car, it could be on the bike, it could be whatever. You've got a few minutes to just be in the present and connect to your breath and connect to your body. And it might literally be as I'm driving from one thing to the next, I turn off the radio or you guys listen to Spotify now, I assume, whatever newfangled music or podcasting platform you're distracting yourself with, turn it off. And just be in that present. So I like to say in meditation, every breath can feel like a lifetime. You can dive into that breath and stretch it out and feel like you have an entire life lived in that moment. If you can do that with one breath, you can surely do it with 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And you need that rest to reset your mind and to be your best self for everything that needs to happen after. And this is a really common mode that we get into, where it's like, I've been off more than I can chew. I got so much stuff to get done. I have all these goals that I wrote down and I said I was going to do it. And Sifu's going to give me crap the next class I go to if I didn't complete all my goals. And so I got to go. You can do all of that and you will do it more effectively if you set aside some time to just breathe, even if it is just in the moment, going from one fire to the next fire. So dive into the moment and enjoy it to whatever degree that you can, and try to stretch it out by just being totally present. Good luck. Other question? Yes, ma'am. Yeah, you're getting real close to a kind of question that I don't want you to ask, which is like purely a physical martial arts question. But I absolutely love the question of how can I be a better partner? And there are physical drills that we could talk about that would actually help you with distancing and timing and all that, but that's not really a question. Your question is, at least the question that I'm going to pull out from this is, how can I be a better partner in general? And this will show up in class and it will show up in life in all the best ways. So being a wonderful partner comes down to fundamentally a couple of different things. And those are basically all connected to being in the present and paying attention to your partner. Getting out of your own head, being over there with what's going on with your partner. So being very interested in what your partner's experience is, being very empathetic and really understanding what their experience is in that moment is only going to happen if you're not all wrapped up in your own experience. So many people, for example, you're pretty new. You've only been coming to the dojo for what? 9, 10, 11 months, almost a year. So that's I know that's a long time for you because you're very young. By the time you're old like me, that's going to be like that, especially in the time frame of your practice, because you'll still be practicing 20 years from now. It's going to seem like nothing. It seems right now like very overwhelming to do partner work, especially in more dynamic drill like what we're doing tonight. And I'm worried about, am I standing in the right place? Am I holding the mitts in the right way? Are my techniques good? Am I doing a good job at being a partner? Like all of this is about me. And it seems kind of counterintuitive, but you have to let go even of the idea of me being a good partner. I let all of that go and focus on what my partner is doing. Now, on some level, of course, you have to focus on your own technique so you don't accidentally kick your partner, right? You have to focus on how you're holding the mitt, but it's all in service of what your partner is experiencing right now. So for example, your partner's holding and you're thinking, I'm going to show them what a good kick looks like right now. And you crushed their arm and you hurt your partner, and that's no good. Versus, I'm going to show my partner so that they know for their own technique how to do this well. That will physically change what you're doing in the moment, just coming from that kind of mindset. And so letting go of your own desire to be doing it right, to be looking good, even to be being a great partner, all of that comes down to just kind of focusing on what's going on with your partner. And it might be like reading their body language. And you can do the same thing when you're having a conversation with somebody. If you are really listening, you're truly there and present with somebody, you're not thinking about what you are about to say. You're not even thinking about what you're thinking about what they're saying. It's literally just like, what are they saying? What are the words that are coming out of their mouth? What is the emotion behind that? And if you are truly able to listen, that's almost identical to the skill set of truly being there with your partner in class, just being totally connected to them without anything in the way. Meditation is, of course, super helpful with this because medication is something different, can help. Meditation is one of the keys to being able to let go of whatever is in the way. In meditation, we're also letting go of what is in the way between us and ourselves, which is a funky way of putting it, but really it is that. It's just letting go of what is extra, letting go of what is not necessary. So to be a great partner, you have to just do that. Let go of whatever is not necessary. And the vast majority of the stuff that's not necessary just happens to be thinking about myself and like what I'm doing right now and how I'm messing it up or how I'm so amazing. And that can be very tricky. So the short answer to your question is meditate, because when you train yourself to recognize unnecessary and unhelpful thoughts and then immediately let them go and come back to the present, that's it. You're instantly a great partner, because if you let go of everything else except for what's happening right here in the present and what my partner is experiencing, you're left with being an amazing partner. Same thing in a conversation. So if you're paying attention, you'll recognize your brain wanders to all kinds of unhelpful extra things, thoughts in a conversation. And it's just the same thing. As soon as you recognize it, you let it go. And it doesn't have to be judgments. In meditation, we learn how to do this. We learn how to let go of whatever it is that we are thinking about without judging ourselves for it, and without even judging that thought. We have a thought in meditation. We can just say to ourselves, thought. That's it. And then you just let it go. You wrap it up in a nice little package and you send it on its way. And you're not attached to it. I'm not like, oh, that was such a great thought that I had, though. And you're not like, that was such a terrible thought. And you're not even like, why am I thinking I'm so stupid? I'm supposed to be meditating right now. It's none of that. It's just gone. So in class, we do that like in a moment by moment basis. You're going to mess up. Not once, not 10 times, probably not even 100 times, but if you're really paying attention, possibly thousands of times during class. And it's just moment by moment, being able to let go of whatever that was and just be back in the present. And even if you're not working with a partner, you got to be able to do that. I got nobody giving me any questions at home. Lots of people listening, but nobody. Yeah. Go ahead, Christine. So you want to salvage the partnership, or you want to get through the class, or both? Because those are different things, right? You might get through the class and then you might have to clean something up with this person after class is done. You might have to have a quick conversation with them. So what, you want me to go through all that or any part of it?
I would probably be like, okay, I just gotta get this together.
So it is certainly not ideal. And I will say that just like in life, sometimes depending on what you are capable of, and that's not, I'm not saying that in a derogatory sense. It's like, I know exactly what I'm capable of and what I'm not capable of right now. And like me as a white sash, I'm not capable of being partners with this person right now. So I might need to just like get through class as safely as possible and then decide I'm going to come back to this person after I've been practicing for a couple of months and I have like more of an ability to deal with whatever they're throwing at me, right? I would really love for you, if you're having a rough experience in class, to bring it to me or bring it to a really advanced student who's dealt with it. And I'm totally happy to know, especially if it's somebody who you're like, I'm not feeling very safe, so that we can make sure that everyone is actually being safe. But since I don't want to just keep this in the dojo, again, with anything in life, there will be partnerships, be they romantic, friendship, or work partnership, or a partnership with a person at the cashier, and you're at the grocery store and it's like, I've had this person. Well, I just don't choose this person anymore. I'm sitting in line and I can tell after 5 minutes that I chose the wrong line. They're taking their time. They're talking too much to the person that they're checking out, or they're just real weird. And I'm not with this energy right now. So I'm going to choose a different line next time. It can be all the above, or whatever the situation is for you. There are times when we're truly connected to what is, what we're again capable of, or we recognize that I'm not in a position to take this person on right now. And I'm going to either make sure that I choose somebody else, walk down the other line, or I would say better case would be, as soon as you partner up with that person, have a quick conversation and say like, I'm not feeling great today. And you can be honest, but be honest in a way, I'm getting into a whole other talk right now, but here we go. So having a conversation with somebody in an effective way does not sound like blaming them, right? It's very related to what I was talking about with Zelda, where you get into their shoes and you recognize what they're dealing with. And so if you can really understand where they're coming from and why they are being the way that they're being, and it might be like, hey, I recognize now that I put myself in their shoes, they're just trying to be intense to give me a better class. Or they're trying to be intense to give themselves a better class, whatever it is. They're not being malicious. You might notice that you might have a partner who is malicious, especially outside of the dojo. Everyone in the dojo is perfect, but sometimes you'll have somebody who's not being their best, most perfect self today. In any case, if we recognize that avoidance is not ideal if we can go to the next level. Again, avoidance is a bare minimum. We want to be able to do that. If we don't have the ability to deal, we get out of the way. My Sifu always says, like, the punch is coming, best block, don't be there. You're just gone. That's not the highest level. It's not the most efficient and effective way of dealing with the energy. But if you're trying to block and not have to deal, you're like this, right? And it might be like the partner I know I can't handle is right behind me. As soon as I say, find a partner, you zip over to the other side of the dojo. But the next level of that is being able to work with your partner's energy. And this is a much higher level. It's very, very challenging, but something that we definitely want to be able to do. And so within that, it might be having a conversation that feels kind of like in Tai Chi, what is push hands. So I'll show you what I mean. Zoe is my partner. And in push hands, what this ends up turning into for a lot of people is she's trying to push me and I'm trying to push and stop her. But that's not what push hands should be. Push hands is she pushes me and I just play with it, right? And maybe then I use that to push my partner, or she goes to push me and I use that to pull my partner, or we're just kind of playing with the energy together. That's what a great conversation is. And that's what we want to do instead of arguing, instead of butting heads. We just like feel and accept the energy. And again, that comes down to listening, comes down to getting out of your own way and recognizing like how what you're going to say might be interpreted by your partner. So that's something that I think the entire world would be so much better if we actually thought about how what we were going to say is going to be interpreted by the other person and are able to say it in a way where our communication is really effective. But back to the simplest part of your question, how do I deal with a relationship that's just like not working? Sometimes you need to just be done with it. And this said in the wrong context and taken the wrong way can start to sound kind of culty. Like a lot of people who run cults are like, you need to get rid of everybody in your life who doesn't think that you should be doing martial arts. And invite them to the dojo, bring them in. I want this cult to get huge. But truly, there will be times in your life and people that it is just not working. Doesn't have to mean you think that they're a terrible person. Doesn't have to mean you have any kind of judgment about it at all. It's just like, hey, I know this is not working. You know, you got somebody at work and it's like every time, of course, there's the aspect of it where it's like you're dreading having to interact with this person, but it's literally just like you're unable to function well together. And so this might mean you get one of you assigned to a different project or whatever, or if it's somebody who you're in charge of, then you just find a way to get them out of there. You don't have to fire somebody, but sure. And that's just like it does not have to be mean. It doesn't have to have any kind of a connotation or mean anything other than just what simply works and what doesn't work. People like to ask me questions that have like a moral or ethical kind of dilemma caught up in it. And I think that can be a very helpful way of looking at life in the world for a lot of people, but it doesn't really work for me. And I think for many people, what's more helpful is just like what works and what doesn't work. This relationship is not working. Okay, I change it or stop it. This way that I'm throwing a punch doesn't work because I keep hurting my thumb. All right, I change it. It doesn't mean I'm a bad person for throwing a punch that way. It means that it didn't work. So I figure out how to make it work. And if I absolutely can't figure out a way to make it work, I stop throwing it. We can usually find a way for you to make your punch work. You might have to bring in somebody else to find a way to make your relationship or situation work. But if it's in the dojo, I'm here. You had one too, Adam? I assume it wasn't the same thing as hers? Mm-hmm. Oh.
I work in the field where my partner has high stress job. I'm listening to be present for him.
You get no time for yourself.
Yeah,
great. This is you've already got one of the best answers. is, first of all, so this question, for those of you who didn't hear it, is developing the empathy and basically just the ability to take care of yourself in that same way. And just having some time that is for yourself. Again, even if that's only 10 minutes, and for some of us, that's all we're going to get. Being able to really connect to your own body. Martial arts is wonderful for this. And if it's not martial arts for you, whatever it is, some people find that like running is the best way for them to connect to themselves. You got to be able to recognize what's going on in here. And this is within balance. If you're only recognizing what's going on in here and you have no idea what's going on with anybody else and you don't care about them, that's not balance. If you only know what's going on with other people and you're totally oblivious to what's going on within you, that's when, health issues start to show up, physical and mental. So setting aside time, really connecting to your body. Meditation helps with this too. You're connecting to your breath. Tai Chi is wonderful, any kind of martial art where you are especially connecting the breath and the body, because this is a very profound, simple, timeless way of being in the present and connecting with yourself, is with the breath and with the body. And it's also very simple and might not get you as deep or as far as you need to go. So, journal. Find some way of having, a fully kind of fleshed out connection with yourself. And it's all about balance. It absolutely, for you, I think more so than most people, especially most people listening here, if you're not working in a field where you're all about other people, then you might very well find that you're unbalanced in the other direction. I think for most people, that's the way that it is. I'm spending too much time thinking about myself and my own experience. So you got to go more in this direction. But for you, you got to find ways to just kind of connect back to yourself. And I can't think of anything that's like much more complicated than that. And I don't think you need anything that's much more complicated than that. It's honestly why I love doing martial arts, because it forces me to do both. I have to be both connected to myself and I have to be connected to other people. And as a beginner in class, you have the situation where for you, it is mostly about you. Because I got to know how I'm punching and kicking, and also how I'm just like not going to go through the window, or, how do I move my feet exactly? I know you've done other martial arts before, but learning this style, this is a fun time for you to really just dive into your own experience. And as you practice longer and as you become a senior student, you'll have more of a balance between those things. But I'm going to point something out, and it very well might seem like just like going the other direction to an extreme. And if it ends up being that way, then forget it. But a way of really being able to let go of what is in the way for you is to just connect to something that's bigger than yourself. So on some level, we connect to something that is an aspect of me. I'm connecting to the feeling of my body or the feeling of my breath. I'm connecting to my emotional state. Maybe it's journaling or whatever, just a part of your meditation that you set aside. But then also connecting to something that is including you, but also is expansive. So that can feel very different from kind of this segmented way where we're kind of like in an isolated way experiencing somebody else. It's like I'm experiencing the whole class, for example. One of the reasons a lot of people love coming to like big classes like we had tonight is because the energy is like addictive, and it makes you feel like you are part of something awesome. You are. And so to kind of allow yourself to just melt into that can be very useful. Again, boundaries are important and you got to be able to have those. But if you're in a great safe place like the dojo and you can just allow yourself to just be and feel yourself just kind of just flow in and out and just wash like you're part of the ocean with the energy of class, that's great. And maybe it's not happening for you in class, but maybe there's, some place where you go and you're volunteering your time, your energy to something that you feel like you're a part of. You're like in this community, and you feel how when you connect to the bigger part of, or when you feel like you connect to the community as a whole, you are becoming bigger. So that way of kind of expanding yourself is great. And meditation should have this effect for us as well. On some level, meditation is me focusing on the breath and me focusing on my thoughts and being able to let go of them and just be present, right? I was talking to another student after last week's meditation. She's been meditating regularly for a long time. She does, I think, pretty regularly hour-long meditations. And she was saying for her, at around the 40th minute, her meditation starts to happen this way. I've experienced it a few times, and other people might experience it after a longer or a shorter period, but can feel almost like an out-of-body experience where you might literally get a physical sensation like you are getting bigger. Does not have to be that. Don't make yourself wrong if you haven't experienced something that feels like that. If you're not like, I'm not getting my out-of-body experience yet, it might not be the way that it feels for you. But for sure, there is a level where your meditation starts to feel like a more expansive experience, where when you let go of your little self, your ego, you are now feeling connected to everything. You're feeling connected to the other students in class. You're feeling connected to the physical space that you're in. You might feel in the beginning like, here's me and here are the mats. But the longer you sit, the more that starts to kind of dissolve. And now you're like a part of the mats. And you might start to feel, not to get too woo-woo, but this is really what's happening, is like you're feeling your connection to the entirety of the universe and all of everything, right? We are little particles and atoms and cells that are like pressed into this little meat stick. And we think of ourselves as being totally separate from all the other meat sticks. And I like to think of a simple way of looking at that as like you're a hot dog in a package, and you're stacked in there with a bunch of other hot dogs in the package. But if somebody stepped on the hot dogs, you're all just together, right? We are, I hope, not ever going to get just stepped on by anything, but we're all made out of the same stuff. So meditation is being stepped on and being connected with all the other hot dogs in the package. And even if you're stepped on hard enough, you're connected to the package itself. And you're connected to the ground on the package. So that thin kind of layer, that like congealed meat layer that keeps you separate from the other hot dogs, doesn't really exist other than in our imagination, right? I really am made of the same stuff, not even as the other partners in the dojo, but of the mats that we stand on and the air that we breathe and the stars that we're swirling around. And so meditation can be a way to connect to all of that. It doesn't have to be as gruesome as imagining yourself as a hot dog that you're stepped on, but that's the reality of it. So when we are really in meditation, that might be what we experience, is more akin to reality. When we have that expansive feeling, that's all that it is we are not feeling this separateness that is on some very big level just an illusion. It's something that we create, and it's like, I got to keep myself separate from everybody else because it's what I'm safe. It's how I feel like I'm going to survive. That's necessary and it's useful in a lot of places in life, but not in meditation. Meditation just gets in the way. That thin thing, just let it go and feel yourself just become absorbed by, and also in turn absorb everything around you. Sit comfortably. So we'll do a short meditation because I talked for a very long time. So try to get to that place as soon as you can. Pull those eyes, spine straight, eyes upturned, relax, watch the breath. Let go of all thoughts, worries, and cares. Be here now.